Well, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the farm. I was out here last night trying to get some work done, trying to get a video shot to show you guys what's going on here in the sheep pasture. Got too dark on me, so here we are. It's next day. As you guys saw, I was lugging our unfinished mobile sheep shelter up the hill. For whatever reason, I completely lost sight of that thing. They've been in here for about 2 weeks and they haven't had a shelter. But fortunately, we haven't had any rain, and I guess that's why it didn't come to mind. So anyway, last night I'm up here. Rain was in the forecast for the evening. So we got a ragtag tarp on here. It's way too big. It may or may not have been hit by the mower, well, a few times. Thanks, honey. But needless to say, the tarp is on there. We're good to go for now. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get something that actually presents a little better. That thing looks, well, there's no words that can explain how bad that looks, but it's doing the job, as you guys can see. I don't know if the sheep actually came in here last night. It's always the funny thing about these animals is they don't really care to get wet. Judging by the way the grass looks in here, I'm gonna say they probably were not in here, but that's aside from the point. That's where we're at with that. As far as the other sheep, my original move, the last video I put out, I think it was, we got 7 of the 10 sheep over here. That was a huge win at the time, the first time moving them across the street. And we'll walk over here, I'll show you guys. But middle of the week this week, I tried to get the other 3 over. Basically what I did on the other side of the road in the other pasture, we put a back fence in behind them with electric netting, and then I was gonna pretty much just drive them forward. So in a perfect world, your animals would just follow your bucket, and I thought I had them trained. Turns out he was just too scared, and we had to put the back fence in, had to kind of drive them out. We did have, and you see the road here, you see my other gate, we had panels kind of going across the road, and they pretty much extended all the way across. So when we backed some vehicles up to it, we thought we had everything blocked off. Well, these animals came out the gate and they immediately made a 90-degree turn and went back around the gate. And then before you know it, they were up here in this tree line. It was just about getting dark. It was myself, Alora, and my mom and dad were over to help. And next thing you know, we're getting spotlights and trying to shine these sheep out of here at night, which definitely was an adventure. I ended up getting a shovel out of the garage, went climbing in there. This stuff doesn't look thick, but let me tell you, an animal can get real low and kind of creep through it. Not us, guys, not us. So I ended up kind of going in there, pushing them out. Down the road they come, the gate's open. Of course they don't go in the gate. They end up pushing through the fence. And when I say going through the fence, I mean they got down and they crawled under the fence. And I don't know if they have adrenaline like humans do, but regardless, they were scared to death, which is not what we want. We want these animals to be able to be comfortable and be able to move them easily. But regardless, we got them in and here we are. So 10 out of 10 in this pasture. What I really wanted to show you is kind of what's going on with the pasture. This stuff is so thick. I mean, this grass is outstanding. Orchard grass, like I said, there's some clover in here, some other stuff. There's some Queen Anne's lace that is popping up through just because this wasn't grazed at all yet. But as far as what it was and what it is now, the development is pretty cool, just having it seeded last year. All right, moving along, let's go ahead and find some sheep. This pasture is definitely deceptive. You got these rolling hills in here, and there's a very good chance, it looks like nothing's in here. There's a good chance that the sheep are kind of right over this little knuckle here. And depending on where you're at, you look in here and I'm like instant panic mode. I don't see any sheep. So let's go up here and see. I bet you, if I had to guess, they're gonna be bedded down up here. There's some shade up here. In this case, it's not needed, but it's also gonna be cover from the weather, as far as the little bit of rain that we got, and also forecasted to get some more today. And I sure hope they're up here. Every time you walk up here, you get a little nervous. I guess I just gotta get used to having them out here. Hank, if anything, Hank will push them out before I do, because he already is on the move. I mentioned this once before. We have them right along the road here, and go figure, the sheep's favorite spot is, yeah, right along the road. They got all this land to roam. So why not hang close to the road where everyone can see them? All right, here we are. So it's pretty cool to see kind of where they pick and choose to kind of bed down. What I've found with the sheep is they'll consistently kind of lay in this area every night. That's what I've found to this point. Of course, now they'll come to me. What's up, Brownie? And they are doing really well in here. You know, they're definitely acclimating well, as Hank's probably gonna scare them here in a second. Yep. Come on, Hank. There's a lot of land to graze, so they haven't made a huge impact. What we're gonna do, we'll let them graze this a little bit, and then I have it pretty much cut in half right now. We'll utilize the other half. I mentioned this before, we'll eventually get more defined paddocks, but for now we wanted to get them used to this and get grazing away and control some of this grass, honestly, because it was starting to get to that point where we almost could have taken a second cutting of hay off. As you guys remember, and I'll put the video above for you, we took a first cutting of hay off of this field, which is great because it's going to provide a lot of feed for the winter. You know, we have no concerns about feeding these animals. We got, I think it was 22 maybe large square bales, which is way more than we're ever going to need for these 10. So these guys are definitely on high alert with Hank running around here, so we'll kind of let them go. You know, I don't want to spook them more than what we kind of already did, but I just want to show you guys what was going on with this pasture. Again, look at the grasses in here. If you guys have seen this, I don't even know if I took a video of this before it was seeded, but this was a traditional monocrop field for, geez, as long as we had the property, and pretty much as long as I can remember. You know, growing up the road a little bit, I remember this field being farmed for years and years and years. Corn, soybeans, sorghum, whatever, you name it. And we recently had the farmer seed it with orchard grass. That was last year, and it's really starting to come in now. And, you know, as the sheep kind of work this land and do what they do, you know, they'll continue to develop this pasture. The key here is just that we don't overgraze. You know, keep your grass relatively long. You know, that's the key to all this regenerative farming, pasture management practices. You know, keep your grass at a reasonable length and let it rest. That's definitely a key. So we'll be definitely doing that. We'll let them in here for a while, being that there's just so much space for 10 animals. Like I said, we'll get them down the next side and then out of here come later this fall. But for now, like I said, we'll let these guys go. And of course, I say let them go, but they all want to come along with us. So we'll go for a walk with 10 sheep. We got Hank up here. Just, he wants in here so bad, but yeah, that never ends well. One thing about Hank is he will not hurt these sheep. Golden Doodles, that's not in their blood whatsoever. But he certainly wants to chase and he certainly wants to play. We got a stampede behind us. Another part of this pasture, and something I'm looking into doing, which I really haven't done a whole lot, a little bit in the past, looking at getting some minerals in here, being that this land was so depleted for so long. And I mean, you can tell when it was bare ground, it was not exactly what I would call nutrient rich soil. So we're looking at getting some minerals. That way what the sheep will do, you know, they'll pick and choose kind of what they need. They're very instinctual as far as that. And then, you know, as they're spreading manure throughout the pasture, those minerals go back into the ground and helps heal kind of the earth. And obviously we'll eventually develop pasture a lot better, promote better grass growth and all things like that. And I almost forgot to mention to you, we're over in the other pasture now across the road from where we just were. We got a bunch of honey locusts that self-seeded and are coming up here. Now these things will have some crazy thorns. I don't know if you guys can see that, but trust me, they got some wicked thorns. You don't want to be walking through here. We are letting them actually grow a little bit. I think the idea, what we're gonna do, maybe let a few stand here, but also try to dig some and put across the road in that wide open field. It's going to create shade. It's excellent fodder. Your animals, especially sheep, they're gonna love honey locust as it gets bigger. I didn't know this, and my dad was just kind of telling me this. as they get bigger, the thorns kind of lessen and they'll go away over time. So eventually, it won't be as tedious to kind of walk through there. But again, if we get a few out, it's going to thin this area out. We'll get some extra shelter over there, extra shade, and then ultimately an extra source of food, make their diet a little more diverse than just the grasses that they're grazing on, which is ultimately what your sheep are going to prefer anyway. So it's a thought. It's something that we're definitely thinking about doing here. We should be able to dig some of these out and get them moved over. Obviously, we didn't pay anything for these. These were self-seeded here. So what's there really to lose at this point? We'll get them over there. We'll see what happens. If they die, well, then it is what it is. But I am pretty confident that we will get a few to take. And honestly, that's going to transform this pasture dramatically. And I'm definitely not going to lie, it is a little nerve-wracking when you think about it. You're dealing with a clean slate like we're looking at here. And I think it's ingrained so often in our minds that a quality pasture is just a wide open field with beautiful grass that all looks the same. When in all reality, the more diversity you get, the better you're going to be. So having some trees scattered throughout, having that silvopasture diversity is actually going to help your soil. It's going to help your pasture even more than that of just, good grass and good grazing practices. And honestly, from what I've seen with the sheep, they're going to prefer that anyway. They'll graze this away. But throw some trees in there, they'll be up there. They'll be reaching as high as they can, pulling those leaves off, getting some of that woodier material, which a lot of animals wouldn't do, but sheep definitely prefer it. So this might be the future of our pasture right here. All right, guys, that's it for today. The sheep followed me all the way down here. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. As always, be sure to give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Drop us some questions, comments. We're always happy to point you in a direction, help you out along your journey as well. And we'll be with you soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.